Everybody. My name is Jewel Morgan, and this is another exciting art kit that we've put together for this family week. And the reason we call that family kits for the art museum is that the amount of work that's going to go into creating this quilt square, which is based on a famous star pattern, it's going to go out in your yard. Like a yard sign, like political signs or like a little business sign. And I think you're going to really like it because typically we see quilt squares, beautiful designs on barns. And they've been all across the country in all the states. And there's even a Pinterest folder that I've put together. If you will go to Pinterest and follow Jewel Morgan, my folder I've put together for you is the quilt star sign painting ideas. There's a lot of different ideas on there, just inspirations. We're going to use red, white, and blue, of course, because it's close to the 4th of July, and everybody in the family gets take part in the design for this. And then we'll just take turns on who does the painting. And then you'll even get a metal stand to display your sign out in the yard. So I'm really excited that you chose this kit. And this is how we get started. We're gonna have 5 pieces of this grid paper in your kit. And so depending on how many people are in your family, I hope everybody in the family gets one. I will check when you come to pick up your kit if you need more than 5. But everybody gets this grid paper. It's 1 by 1 inch. And we want to do a quilt square, right? The word square. Well, this paper is a rectangle. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to create a square in the middle of the page. So I want you to take a pencil, preferably a pencil, and 1.5 squares in from the right and the left. Draw over this line. 1.5 squares in on both sides. Now we have a square in the center of your paper, and you're going to have borders out on the edges, just like you see in the finished painting. We've got a 3-inch border here and a 3-inch border here, and you get to decide however you'd like to finish that out, whether it's in stripes or solid colors. This little example down here just has the solid blue, and I think it looks just great. Alrighty, now everybody in the family is going to come up with this star pattern. It's called the Friendship Star. There are many, many different patterns in traditional American quilting, but we are all going to begin with this one called the Friendship Star. So the first thing we need to do is take the center area and we're going to divide it up kind of like a giant tic-tac-toe board. So count in 3 boxes and draw your line down. Count over 3 more boxes and draw your line. Now, you can turn your paper if it's easier for you. Count over 3 boxes, and remember we're just going to stay inside this middle square area. 1, 2, 3, and a line. So now do you see the tic-tac-toe board kind of inside the middle here? Remember our borders are out on the edges. All right, let's make our Friendship Star. I want you to start at the top of your page, and from this corner to this corner, create a diagonal line that just passes through the corners of the boxes. Just like that. And then come over to this side, and you're going to go down, but you're going to stop when you get to this black line. Boop, 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 stop. All right, now you can turn your paper 1/4 of a turn if that will help you. Do the same thing. Start up here at this corner, and you're going to go all the way down diagonally right there. Divide your box in half, 2 large triangles, and then come over here, diagonal, diagonal, stop right there. Keep turning your page. This is called 1/4 turn rotation, and it's also called radial symmetry radial meaning round and symmetry balance, and this balanced design is going to go around the center. So here we have our last side. All right, so now we have our friendship star pattern for a quilt square. Everybody in the family starts with this, and after this everybody gets to decide what they're going to do in these leftover squares and in the center, and what kind of pattern would you like to finish yours. So this is what I did with mine. I went up into this top square, and it looks like a little piece of ribbon coming out. And so do you see how I went from this corner, look at that finger, from this corner up to here, and from this corner up to here, and then I just outlined this little box in the corner. And I did that in all 4 corners of my design. And in the center box, this one, I just made a large diamond. How fun. And there are a couple of other ideas up here on the board. All of those began with the friendship star. And you can just use a pencil and kind of experiment. Whatever you do in one corner, you want to repeat in your other corner so that you have that balanced radial design, radial symmetry. All right, when everybody gets a pattern that they enjoy, that they like, then you're going to break out the crayons. And I didn't put the crayons in your kit because I'm hoping everybody has some crayons at home. So any blues, any reds, white, black, but basically it's a red, white, and blue design. And so you get to decide, you know, what colors you're going to assign to your design that you just created. Woohoo! So I'm going to decide that middle large diamond is going to be blue. And maybe these outside corners are all going to be blue. See, whatever I do in one corner, I repeat. And let's see, red. How about if the small triangle on each of the 4 sides becomes red? And so on, all the way around your design that you've created. Now, you can use any value changes of blues and reds. So if you want to create light blue areas, you can plan that out with your crayons, and you will be adding white to your blue paint. Actually, you will add blue to your white paint. You always want to start with your lightest color of paint. And you can create your light blue paint. You want to create enough of the paint that you'll be able to paint all your sections in at the same time, because it's really challenging to recreate that color again. So the light blue is called a tint, T-I-N-T, of blue. And if I create a navy blue by mixing a little touch of black in with my blue to create navy, that would be called a shade of blue. All right, so there's all my light blue areas. And really on this design, any white area, see if I use the white crayon, I'm just kind of wasting my time. So you can just leave the white area white. So try and figure out what you're going to assign all of these sections in your design, like I did over here. And every person in the family's designs are going to be beautiful. So I would definitely save all of these colored in designs and maybe, you know, display them on the refrigerator, or you could even frame them together on the wall in a collage. And the family will get together and they will vote on which design is going to go on your yard sign. So at this point, we have this winning design that your family chose, and we're going to get the person in the family who has the best use of a yardstick or a ruler, and every inch, every block on this paper is only 1 inch, but on this board, on this display board, it's a corrugated plastic board, it equals 2 inches. So since this border is 1.5 inches on the paper, how big will it be on the board? 3 inches, right? This border, 1.5 inches, how big will it be over here? 3 inches. So that's the first thing I want to do. So I'm going to lay my ruler. My ruler is very dirty. I've had it for years and years. I'm going to lay my ruler on the board, and I'm going to do this with markers so you can see it. Make a little mark at the 3. Come down here. Make a little mark at the 3. Okay. It helps too if you stand right over where you're working. It's just easier to see your marks. Hold your ruler down firmly. Okay, same thing down here. I've already got my marks. There's 3 inches. Three inches. Press down on your ruler firmly. We already have the borders taken care of. Now, these boxes were 3 boxes by 3 boxes. On here, what's 3 times 2? 6. So my boxes that form the center square will be 6 by 6 inches. You can actually lay a ruler across and just start counting off 6. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus 6, 15. Do it again down here. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus 6, 15. You may want to do it in pencil first. Well, I would just do the whole thing in pencil because you probably don't want black Sharpie lines showing up on your painting. Now, while you've got your ruler this way, again, it's 6 inches. Every 6 inches, you want to make a mark. I could come clear down to here. You can use all of these vertical lines or just a couple of them. Because once you have at least 2 sets of marks, you can go ahead and start connecting them. Don't go out into your border area. Just inside your center large square. Remember, we're making that giant tic-tac-toe board. Okay, at this point I can make the friendship quilt, the friendship star, without even counting off and measuring, because I know that in each of these 4 boxes the first line goes from corner to corner. That's the long one. And then to do the short line, I still line my ruler up from corner to corner. See that? From this corner to this corner. But I only am going to come halfway and stop. There it is. Moving over here, same thing. Little secret, when this one's lined up, oh look, it's already lined up for this box. I can go ahead and use that. look, now I'm lined up for this one. Rulers are great. Here we go. There's the friendship star. Okay, the design's starting to take shape. So depending on what your winning pattern decided to do, whether it's checkerboard or stripes or zigzags, however you want to do it, if I'm going to put, let's say, a checkerboard block up here, I know this is a 6-inch area, so what if I want to just divide that into equal checkerboards? I can come down and go 3 inches there, 3 inches there, go ahead and divide that while I'm here. So now I've just come up with another idea that I could put in all 4 of these corners. Alrighty? It's really fun, and I'm anxious to see what you guys come up with your designs. I love playing with this graph paper. The ideas are limitless, but I want to get on to the paint to show you what to do next with the paint. So you're going to be using some acrylic paint, of course, red, white, and blue. And if you want to darken your red to create a burgundy, we'll talk about that. Or if you want to darken your blue to make a navy blue, we'll need to use a little bit of black. So we've got, we've got this foam plate. That's going to be our paint palette. A palette is what holds your paint. We've got a great set of flat brushes, flat paint brushes that are Crayola, good brand. And I would use the size brush that works with the size area that you're going to be painting. So if I'm going to be painting a large area, large triangle, I'm going to just dampen my brush, large brush. Let's see. I would pour out no more than about a 1/4 size amount of paint puddle. Boom, woo, comes out fast. Get the lid back on it so the rest of your paint's not drying up. Okay, like I said, this just needs to be barely damp, and always work a paper towel or a paint rag handy because you've got paint, you've got water, and you never know what's going to happen. So always have your rag handy. And you want to load your brush. You don't have to put paint all the way back to the end. That's called the furl. You do not have to put paint all the way back there. Start out by putting generous long strokes in the middle, kind of fill in the field, if you want to call it that. And you can see how it's rather transparent right now. Yours is going to be transparent as well. That means you'll need to go back and do 2 coats of paint, sometimes 3. Just depends on how thin your paint goes on. Now, how do we get nice crisp edges? Because you're going to look at that and go, oh my goodness, how do I get straight edges like that? Here's what I don't want you to do. I'm going to show you over here. I don't want you to line your brush up and just drag it along flat like that, because a lot of times you'll get this little buildup of paint along the edge. It's like this little bump of paint, and then it's really hard to get rid of. So you're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to put the flat edge really close to the line, and then you're going to go up and just touch the line right there and pull away. And then just really close to the line, and then go up and touch and pull back. And see how I'm overlapping my strokes? And pull back and pull back. This takes a lot of patience, and I want you to take your time. And if it means that you trade off in the family and one person gets to paint all the blues and the next person gets to paint all the reds. Now, why am I doing blue on here? Because when you read your instructions, it's going to say do the lightest colors first. So yes, I would paint all the white areas in first, and then your next lightest colors. I chose to do blue in the video so that you could see what I was doing, because blue is going to show up better. All right. Again, it's always helpful if you can get right on top of where you're working. So if you have to stand up to get right over it, whatever is comfortable for you, and pull back and pull back. And if you get those thick lines of paint in there, every now and then you want to go in and smooth those away. How do you get into those corners, Jewel? You know what? It just takes a lot of practice. I just barely touch it. You don't even have to pull it away. Look at that. You don't even have to pull it away. Just get in there to the corner and touch. Oh, that corner's all the way done. Look at that. Okay, voila. Alrighty, so let's pretend that one's done. I want to create light blue. I want to create a tint of blue. I'm going to start with that white paint first, the lightest color first when we're creating a tint. Little tiny bit of blue. Look at, beautiful. If that's not dark enough for you, you can always go back and add a little more. Don't add too much at a time. Isn't that funny? I don't see the blue coming in. Just a little bit at a time until you get the color you're happy with. Beautiful tint of blue. Right up to the line and pull away. Okay, so there we go. And remember, you may have to do 2 coats of this later. If you're cleaning your brush, I know that you probably have cleaned out paintbrushes before, but I'm really a stickler on cleaning out paintbrushes. I want you to wipe all the excess paint out first before you go putting it in your water. Wipe and wipe and wipe until you can't get any more paint out. And then you're going to dip it and wipe some more. And you're going to dip it and wipe some more. And you keep going until that comes out clean. And if you want to hurry up the process, you can go to the sink and add some soap in your hand and wipe it back and forth in the soap, and then rinse it out in your sink until it comes out clear. All right. The last thing I'm going to show you is creating a shade. So a shade is color plus black. Just going to need a tiny bit of black. So blue plus black is most likely going to give you navy blue. A tiny bit of black into this blue. Beautiful. I could go with that being a little bit darker. Okay, make sure it's all blended so that every square you paint is going to be the same color. All right, so here are the ones I choose to make navy. Of course, I'm going fast. You can go as slow as you need. So that means as I go around my design, this one will be navy, this one will be navy, and this one will be navy. all right? And if I do my checkerboards here and here and here, I've got my light blue will be there, and my light blue will be there, and my light blue will be there. And then I'll decide where my reds go, where my whites go. Remember, with red, you can create like a burgundy by adding a little bit of black into your red, and a deep burgundy might be pretty in your design too. So here we go. We're gonna pretend this is all done. So excited. I just wanna show you the last step so you can display this in your yard at home. Look at the top. See how there are openings? It's corrugated. That's just like corrugated cardboard. And you're going to have this metal sign that's shaped like an H. All right? And at the top, I've already pushed this one in. But see how it slides right off here. So there we go. So those two wires will just go into the corrugated holes, how you saw it. And you'll be ready to display it in your yard every 4th of July, every holiday. Show your patriotism. We really need to spread some love in the country right now. And if you want to, you go to the dollar store and you can add a little fun fireworks, right? Just get as crazy as you want. Woohoo! All right, so there we go. Happy 4th of July.